So what I'll repeat again, a psychologist calls for interview for a candidate in a rarest of rare case. Okay. Secondly, if he has to do it, he has to have certain amount of doubts and he would like to clarify certain finding which he or she is unable to interpret from the responses that you got it. They may, second case maybe, there may be fluctuations. One where there will be contradictory statements which are available in the responses which are available. Thirdly, they may be even for say from a scholastic point of view, from learning point of view, if you find certain great angularity, we call it a very grave mistake. On the outwardly, there's everything is good. You are a bright student, everything is there. But why there's some grave mistake that we call it angularity is there? Is he or is what you have exhibited is right or poorly? There is doubt, so that you should not be, you could not be penalized. If there is doubt, that would be drawn. So what is done in order to take an interview? The psychologist will have to take written permission from the president of the board. Secondly, he or she has also to justify which quality is he or she is going to query or going to find out. He or she is not authorized to ask questions beyond the framed area of investigation. So that's very clear. I cannot afford to become an interviewer or the interviewing officer, ask you all questions and then try and clarify my doubts. No. And generally, even the questions which are there, they are also pre-planned and pre-made. Okay, so that is the basic why this interview is taken. Now, next, I ask you, who was the psychologist who took was it the TO or was the psychologist who took your interview?
Sir, I believe it was the senior psychologist because the DNCO took me to the psychologist wing, and on the outside of the room was written senior psychologist. I cannot remind his name, but
okay, he was commander. Senior psychologist. Okay, was he in civil attire, civils? Was he in civils or in a uniform?
Civil, sir.
Civil. That's okay. Fair enough. Now next, before you tell me anything, first and foremost, tell me all 12 stories that you have written. If you can remember, if fairly you can't, what was the theme and what story did you write? Just roughly, just the theme. What was the first impulse?
Okay.
TAT. If you remember, that's
sir, all. First picture was there was a boy opening the fence of something. So I wrote that I'm a boy of class 12.
So what?
Opening a fence.
Opening a? Why opening a?
Sir, means tying a fence. There was a fence type of structure.
Okay, in a house there was a fence. He was trying to open a fence. Okay, by opening a fence.
Yes, sir.
And then, okay, the boy opened. There must be a small house, and there was a fence around. He was trying to get inside that house. Okay, right. What you write?
Actually, there was no house. It was just a fence. He was trying to push that fence.
Okay, done. Seen. Now tell me, what do you write?
Sir, I perceived it as a boy who was trying to, who has gone to his village in his holidays to enjoy, and there was some restructuring work going on. So he met his relatives, he had work, he played with his friends and enjoyed and created a memorable experience.
Okay. So what was the age of the boy? He wanted.
It was around 17, 18, sir.
So because remember, because you can say when played and all 17 years, a boy becomes a mature boy. So you're trying to go back to the that certainly indicates you have been talking about slightly more. We call it regression. You're trying to go back to an age beyond or less than what your mental age is. That's basically what inference. I don't know what you have written, but certainly indicates from the output that you have gone around there to enjoy. You met your family, people, you played around with the people around that, came back. That is what he came back. So that certainly indicates a regression, that your mental mental age becomes slightly less than the chronological age, that maturity which is required, that has not been appropriate. Simple. Okay, let me have the second story.
Second picture was something, a man is pointing to another man in the background, and the man in the foreground is somewhat hiding.
Okay, hiding. Some man pointing to another person, pointing there,
yes.
And the person who is pointing is in hiding.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the hiding. So hiding man pointing to someone. Hiding man pointing. What did he write?
Sir, I perceived the man as a field assistant in maybe some research and analysis wing. He was 24 years old, and he was taking up a case of a suspect whom he had got a lead that he was trying to plant a bomb in nearby area. So he was following that suspect. He tracked his call records, his locations for some.
Done. Understand. This is called a type of personality disorder on which you become suspicious of others.
Okay.
This is an indication of that. Yeah, if you understand, that's exactly as I say. People are unaware of what personality is and what personality disorders are. This gives me clear doubt that you are suspicious of others. Suspicious of others.
Okay.
So that is a type of personality. There are about 8 or 9 personality disorder which are there normally talk about it. So that is a fundamental thing. What people go wrong without knowing, writing a story is one aspect of it. But it is not right. You have to understand what does it really imply. That is what is the understanding which no one tells around. Okay, fair enough. So this becomes a suspicious. First problem was regression. That's exactly what I said. It's a rare of this, and also suspicion. Okay. Third story
was, sir, one child was trying to close cupboard. That's it.
Okay. Child closing. What do you write?
Sir, I wrote that the person is pursuing graduation, and he registered for some seminar in some South college to gain more skills and practicality. So he was preparing for his departure.
Okay, so he is preparing for the departure. Okay, very nice. What did he achieve? Anything? You're not in a position to talk about, yes, he preparing for seminar, so that you got aspiration to, that is called achievement. You want to improve your skill and what was there through seminar. But what did you achieve? You have not been in a position to talk about it.
Sir, okay. I wrote about that. The main story was although based on preparing for departure, but yes, at the end I wrote a line that he gained skills and whatever from the.
That is not an issue, no. That is basically the one line that doesn't indicate it. So basically, it is the preparation. That's what there's a. Yes. So you're wasting time only preparing things from there, only for departure. So the whole effort has gone. It is not indicative of your personality. That is the basically you have not brought out the quality which are required.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Fourth story.
Fourth story was, sir, one person was talking to another person who was sitting.
One person, both are sitting now, is it?
Both. One was standing, other was sitting.
One standing and one sitting. Okay. Both person, one sitting. Okay, very nice. What do you write?
They were appearing contemporaries in age. So I wrote, the main character was an elder brother and the other was in class 10th. So the elder brother thought or perceived that the younger brother is somewhat tensed nowadays. So he tried to talk to him.
So more. And younger brother is more?
He was looking tensed in recent days.
Okay, okay.
So he tried to talk to him. He now tried to identify the reason. Then after identifying the reason that the class 10th results were a reason, so he tried to counsel him. He gave an action plan. And
very nice. Okay. Now the problem is twofold. There is a 3 types attitude. What you call one in personality. Again, we have got 3 roles to play. One called parental, the adult, and childhood. You have taken the role of a parent. That is, do this, don't do this. That is what is immaturity comes into play. There's a theory which is called what? Parental, child, and adult. You are an adult, your behavior should be like adult, and others should also be adult to adult behavior. And you have taken the child to be the child. So your interaction, what is the communication between the two is a parent to the child, parent to the child. And what you have done, you have simply advised him, no action. So it becomes a no advice, you only advise, and as an equal, you got a parent to child in communication. That is what is next. That is what really emanates from it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now next story.
Sir, senior teacher like figure was sitting, and there was a desk, and 2 students were standing in front of the desk.
Teacher behind his kid on a desk with two standing children, or I'll say student. Okay, yes. Standing. So what did you do? What do you write?
Sir, I wrote that the central character is pursuing graduation. He saw the notice of an educational trip. So he informed the class, and he motivated others to go on the trip, giving the merits and demerits. He prepared the list, gave it to the teacher, and the trip was fun.
Okay. What did you gain from the teacher? From the trip? You didn't talk about it. Advantage. That is all preparation. It is all preparation.
Sir,
what are the effects?
It was a trip to Rashtrapati Bhavan. So
what was the effect of it? It is a trip. You have planned a trip. What is the ultimate result? What is the theme of the story? What did you come out of it?
Sir, it was our only plan.
So that's exactly what I'm trying to put. Okay, number 6. So it is the theme is again this story and other stories that you have written across about your seminar remains the same. 3 and 5 remain the same. You were preparing both the things in a preparation. Okay. Number 6. Next. Okay, 6th and 7th karo. Okay, you can send it to me on WhatsApp. There's absolutely no problem. You can send it on there. What is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next story, 7th. Any idea?
Sir, actually, only these story I'm trying to.
Okay, fair enough. That is so. Now there is a lot of inconsistency from story number 1 to story number 5. Let's understand from. First story was boy opening a fence. Then he went there, enjoyed. That simply indicates your behavior like a child like. So you will come to regression. More becomes regression. Though you may have written 16, 17 years old, which you already now say if you are already doing graduation, you are at least 18 plus. You are 18 plus around there. That is the first stage comes around. So that becomes regression. You want to enjoy the system. That's one. You are nothing great comes back system. You went away. One exploration, only one thing indicate you're well attached with your family members. So you've got good relation with your family members. That's the only thing indicator. Number 2nd story is man pointed to another person. That's a suspicious personality disorder. This is called, we will not talk about a specific name. They are certain person, they're called paranoid, different type person. So that's got suspicious character. 3rd is again, you prepared for your seminar and only prepared only. And that's result came back, the thematic didn't come out of it. So 4th is we're standing, you are standing elder as a elder brother, you're trying to tell something. So the attitude becomes parental to child interaction. Communication between the two is parent to child. It's not adult mode. What we expect on the person should be an adult mode. Do this, do that. That is what you are trying to convey. And the details that you have given is very trivial. That okay, do this, I make a routine and what is there, and this is what he is past tense. That is what is available. So this becomes your indirectly, it is a projective technique. It is you are trying to tell yourself. You would also simply indicate that you were trying to have someone to tell you around there, do this, do. And this is in your case, since your father is not available around there, it becomes your own need. This is like, this generates your own need to counsel, help, hold someone who can afford to guide you. So what if projected technique has come back, since in your case, I know that you don't have your father is not there. And as a result, this need of having affiliation, they call need for affiliation. They call need for affiliation comes into fore because in this story, as well as story number 1, it is all need for affiliation, which you are missing, That is what has really come up into these two. Okay. Lastly, the teacher is standing in front of her down there. It again, the problem is either you become a child only. Either you can't be teacher, you become a child. You become a child. So that the two story become a child. So the problem comes with the balanced approach that is really required. That is not coming back. So there is a lot of fluctuation. There is a certain amount of that he would like to find out why this. What we told you very small thing, but I don't know because exactly what story you would have written would have been something different. But whatever I could make out from this is because itself it gives me there's a lot of fluctuation in your personality. And I would like to find why this fluctuation. Basically, it seemed to be a person who would like to do well in life. You've got a desire for there's a three: need for power, need for education, need for affiliation. That is need for power, need for there are various needs at there, some sector needs are there. You want to develop, there's no doubt about it. You want to do well. But that need has not, the need, there's a lot of impediments which are what you call pressed up in front of you. And you are unable to compromise, got over these particular problems. That is the problem. You have to circumvent that problem. That is the basic need. Okay, so this is what is there. Anything about your any words which you remember? Few words, sentences you have made it. Any few of them, if you remember. Fair enough.
Words.
Anyway, any sentences that you made it, made a sentence. That's why I just want a few sentences of the cup which you have written.
Okay, I'm trying.
Okay. Think it out, don't worry. Send it to me, that will send it on. Next, any SRT, which is specifically happened, you recollect me, a specific type, something which is different.
Sir, there were 3-4 times SRT of being a snake and brother is sleeping.
Okay, so, snake, that's next is?
There was a snake going and your brother was sleeping on the bed.
Okay, that's no problem. That is very simple. That to check back phobia. That is to check back phobia. What do you write?
Sir, I wrote that I alerted the brother and killed the snake.
Okay. Who killed the snake? You or your brother?
I just wrote killed the snake.
Alerted the brother and killed the snake. Who was sleeping on the bed? You or your brother?
Brother, sir.
Brother was alerted and killed. Okay. So that's okay. That is indicated check back of phobia. There are the different types of phobia. Understanding. That's basically what I was trying to tell you. The problem is not in today's teaching. We must understand what our personality is. What is personality first? And then what are the different what personality disorders? Then something they call a dark triad. They call it what are the other than they call light triad, means they are the darker side of an individual. They call a brighter side of individual. Then there's other theory which comes, what is the need? What is the phobia? What are the biases? Until these particular things are known to a candidate, he is likely to do all sorts of mistakes which are available. Okay, that's not, I will not call it failure. If we said until it is, you have got the capability, but you are not able to exploit. It's simple. If you would have known, probably you would have taken corrective measures. Okay, that was one after. Now tell me, what did you? Secondly, since since your father is no more, and that you have written on PIQ, and two stories which you have written for need for affiliation, that became the need for psychologists to intervene. Okay. So that was the need for the psychologist to, that is one need, one it very clearly comes back. Since your father is no more, and secondly, you have already two story, you already given enough indicator, the need for affiliation is still dominant, and that is no, that is somewhere, no, I say it is putting a subtle stoppage onto you. There is a subtle stoppage, and that's the reason, that's one of the reason which comes out, he wants to inquire. And you said he is trying to inquire from your PIQ. Did he say then? Did you say this or not? Okay. What all question did he ask? Let's hear that.
Okay. So, firstly,
tell me,
make it clear that
the time you tell me the time you went to his room or chamber, what all things transpired. A to Z, what do you remember? You can let me know.
Yes, sir. So, firstly, he said that how are you, and when was your GTO, or what was your day? I mean, what was scheduled, GTO or interview? I told GTO. Okay. Then he said that who told you to come in interview clothes? Who come to? So I was. No, who with the he asked me that has some.
Did you take coaching or not?
He asked me that. No, sir. He asked me who asked you to come in this attire of, means I was in formals.
Okay. You were in formal. Why did you put on the formal dress to come to them? Isn't it? Okay. Why formal? Why did you come into formally dressed into his interview? Why formal? Okay, very nice. Okay.
Then he clarified that the testing is done. And this is just some piece of conversation.
This is called, what is it? Conversation. Okay, very nice. Okay, it was.
He said that testing is done, interview is done, everything is finished.
Correct. Very nice. Okay, go ahead.
Then he asked me, how did you prepare for psychology?
Okay. Then what was your reply? What was your reply? What was your...
Sir, I replied him. I said that and the previous SSBs, I strictly followed what the coaching gave me. Now, as it was my last chance for the National Defense Academy, so I became original and I studied what was my way of doing things. So I studied papers of why the SSB is testing people like this. So I searched on the web. I came on some paper written by Dr. Sohan Lal, who was a psychologist in the DIPR. So there was something written on SSB. So SSB was basically designed to reduce the training wastage and all that. I told him. Then I told him that I studied various psychologists on whom the tests were based, for example, Murray and Carl Jung and all that, and how did they perceive the stories. So then I wrote stories and became my own psychologist. I tried to become my own psychologist and perceive what came out of the stories. Okay. And accordingly, I wrote my characteristics and qualities. Then I took several personality tests to determine that whether I am having those qualities or on the qualities which I am not having. How to prepare means I wanted to know my weak areas and my strengths. Okay. After knowing my personality areas, I matched it with the OLQs, and after gaining sufficient confidence that yes, I am able to make it to the qualities of OL, means what are demanded at the SSB level, I proceeded. Okay. Then I prepared for VAT, TAT, and SRT at particular level, giving the explanation that TAT is for unconscious, VAT is for subconscious, SRT is for conscious levels.
Okay.
Then I prepared my body clock by giving exams, means my mock tests on the psychology 2-3 hours, so that I am not tired in the actual phase. Then I finally asked my friends and teachers about my description, and I gave a perfect choice of words to it, and then I prepared my ST.
Very nice. Then?
So then he asked me, how did you prepare for the interview? Then I said, sir, I simply read a book called 60 Seconds and you are hired to give a good impression on the interviewer. And I read that book and gave my interview.
Okay.
Then he came to my PIQ that asking about my father, that what was he doing, how much did he earn. Then about my mother, what is she currently doing, my sister, what is she currently doing. Then he asked me, why do you want to join defense forces? And I said that
Okay.
I firstly gave the reason of uniforms and all.
What also answer did you give for father and mother?
I said that my father was a supervisor in Maruti Suzuki and he was earning 45,000 per month. In my mother, I said that she is currently a teacher of Hindi in some private school in Gurugram.
Okay. Anything more? Anything more?
No, sir. He asked only this much, that what are the...
Okay. Next. Next question.
Then he asked me why defense. So I told him that I wanted uniform and I told his reasons, but I thought that the reason that I wrote in my SD, I did not tell it that the life of an army officer is something that instigates me to come to the defense. I did not mention it in that psychology interview. So then he asked me that if you are so interested in NCC, then means in defense, then why did you not join NCC in your these 18 years?
Okay.
Then I told him the reason that in my school there was no NCC, though I tried to join some battalion in MTech college, but it would have been hasty. It would not perform better in both things.
Okay.
Then I have written reading in my hobbies. He asked me, what books have you read? So I told him some self-development books and some fiction. I asked him whether I should name the books. So he said, no, you have given them an interview. It's totally your choice. So I thought that he was having that interview page, which the interviewer writes our responses. So I presume that he knows what books I have read. So I did not name them. Then lastly, I noticed that at some points of time he wanted to write something like the interviewer writes, but he was stopping himself. I don't know why, but he was picking his hand to write, but he didn't write. He didn't want to show me or something. Then finally he asked me, he said that I want to ask a funny question at the end, that did you expect that I would be talking something about your preparation when you were called? So honestly, I was thinking that according to the responses I had prepared, I would be called for it. So I just expected it. He said, so Saurabh, your intuition came well, but many times intuition becomes superstitions. He said something like this. He said,
last question. What you just again rephrase it again? What is asked last time? What is last?
Sir, he said that at last I want to ask you a funny question. I said, yes, sir. Then did you expect that I would ask such things? You would be called again and you would be asked these preparations and all these things. So I said, yes, sir. I expected this because I felt that I had given a good response and you would be calling me. He said, okay. And he said, your question went well. So I said, yes, and he...
What did he say? What was the last question? What did he say? What did he say?
Your intuition.
Your intuition
went well.
Okay, done.
What I had guessed came true.
Okay.
Then he said a line that intuitions sometimes form superstitions.
Okay.
He said a line. Then he shook hand and I left, sir.
Superstition. He talked about superstition, is it?
Yes, sir.
Superstition, is it?
Yes,
sir. He talked about superstition. Yeah. That is exactly what he said. Since there's something, when you write a response which you delete sometime, even if I do it this way, that things will go right and all, that is the superstition comes to play. But basic issue which really comes to my mind, what reality you were talking about there. He just wanted, because in interview, yeah, in the psychology interview, he's supposed to, he had talked about your parents. Fair enough. That is one is expected. That is was expected. There's nothing wrong in it. Then beyond that, when he is talking about what reading habits and all, and the books that you read it, I do not know which one book you have already read, that you have already said that no, that 60 seconds for interview and all particular thing asked, because that is a self-improvement books that you have written. That is one thing which he was trying to. It means there is a gap. There is a gap in the system which you are trying to cover up. You have covered up inside when you have talked about Jung, you have talked about Sohan Lal, you have talked about this. That certainly indicates you have tried to pick up from the environment what is right, and you try to do it yourself. But the problem is basically that your interpretation of what is right may not have been so right. Because the story that you have written certainly indicates to me, without any doubt, that you have not lived up to your own potential in spite of the fact that you're putting so much effort. You could have done much with your intelligence, whatever you're trying, the way you're trying to tell me everything, that certainly indicates that you've got enough capabilities, but probably nurturing and mentoring which are associated, which are required, is not appropriate. You have appeared in SSB earlier also, and you have gone to every SSB trainer, whatever is the concept. I will not like to blame or tell anyone. They simply know what SSB is. But no one tries to analyze how and why. And that is the basic flaw which occurs in all of us. As an individual who is, as a candidate, when you undertake this training from anyone, I'm not trying to put, because there's all good people are there, so it is unfair to talk about others. But I'm quite convinced that you have had enough potential, you have got enough intelligence. You seem logical in your approach, but you went overconfident on yourself, that by reading, I would be in a position to manage things. But in the heart of it, remain underconfident. Overall remain overconfident, but underneath remain underconfident. Second, two needs, which I have already talked about it. One is the need for affiliation remains predominant, which is quite obvious around there, and that has taken its toll in your personality. There is a certain amount of personality disorder fractures comes into play. So there is a need for interaction. Have with the right people, go on there, prepare yourself, correct yourself. You've got a long way to go, and you will do well in life, because you can put in a lot of effort. That much I can assure you. Anyone who talks about all this Carl Jung, Sohan Lal and all, very few people would be talking about Sohan Lal in the party. He's supposed to, Sohan Lal, let me just tell you, in DIP history, Sohan Lal is an icon by himself. Is an icon by himself. And some of the initial around that, though, Mr. Sinha and Sohan Lal, there's one more psychologist with the director DIPR, Mr. Sinha, used to be there. From Patna around there, he was the person, another who contributed towards considerable. Sohan Lal was the initial part who was trying to set up the aperture. That's how the things goes on. Okay, so this interview has given you a feeling there's certain things which you require yourself to take care of. That's a clear indication. This interview, out of total, you must have been one of the very few who have been interviewed by psychologists. Other psychologists never does any interview. So there is an indication that you have to understand yourself and correct it. You've got a long way to go. Have I answered your question?
Yes.
Any question you have asked? Yes. Remember, I reconnect back.
Sir, I was thinking.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, as I was thinking that I had did well, but as you told me that the stories are giving this out, so I now seriously feel that I have a need for affiliation, and my technical entry is the last attempt for 10+2 officer level entry. So
Okay.
I feel that I should not leave any stone unturned. So I have no coaching, I mean, after my first attempt or something, because I believe that it is of no use. But as you have told me, I mean, I seriously need it. It's my last attempt. I need to give my best. And as you said, there is a hope. I mean, I can do well. So I need your guidance, I mean, sir.
Okay, so then you decide for yourself. But then that's not an issue. I have only react to you. That's aim is the question. My aim, I have always understood to the people for two. It gives. I would help you to analyze yourself. My convince only one, and I'll tell you why and how. This is the until you understand. I say when you've got suspicion, you've got all personality. You must understand what personality is first. Looking at the what Jung says, that is one aspect. There is one aspect of it. Okay, you must understand what are the needs. That's how the whole comeback system on there. Okay, so you decide that is not in. So when is your SSB? When is your 10%?
Sir, I mean, forms are being filled. It will be in a month or two.
That okay. This form, this the technique entry which is going on now. Then in the month of February, March will be there. March end or April will be the test round. That is July batch. July batch then, isn't it? Okay. That is not July, but that is April and that is May, June. That's okay. So you can decide. Let me know the dates. I'll take 10 days, 1.5 hours to 2 hours. You can afford to go across. Book you have already got it. Have you read the book? Have you read the book that you have sent it to?
Yes, sir. I have read it before going.
How was it?
It was